Hello and welcome. The purpose of this LNSKI object database video is to talk about the pitfalls of view serialization. So right now on the Unity asset store, there are a couple of assets that you can get right now that do view serialization. The purpose of view serialization is essentially doing a simple implementation of a save game where you have a player, they do something in your game and they want to save their current state so that then when they close down the game, start the game back up again, later on they can basically load up from this saved game. Now on the surface, it may appear that the view serialization process is actually a really good thing to do because it's really easy to do. It's basically a couple of lines of code and you can save your game away and, bang, you're done. But there's some pitfalls that this video is trying to point out to you. So when we're talking about a view, we're talking about taking that view, taking all of the objects, all of the game objects that you create, and taking all that information and writing it out in some format that you can then save to a file. So that represents the player's save game information. The problem, though, is that when the model and the view don't work anymore, where the model has changed in some way, whatever the save game happened to be is no longer valid. It becomes very difficult to actually now load up this view and do stuff with your game. And you may think, well, how often does that really happen, right? So if a player's game becomes invalid, it's because the model has changed. You might think, well, that doesn't happen all that often, and actually it happens all of the time. It happens when you apply bug fixes. You've done some implementation, you realize, hey, you know what? I shouldn't be doing it that way. I shouldn't create that particular object. I shouldn't be pushing that thing over there, or whatever. Or you're doing prototyping. You have you want to do a space game. And so you want to simulate the movement of a ship through space. Well, you haven't gone out and bought all of your fancy or made your fancy ships, but you have basically a cube or a couple of cubes floating around in space. Well, you don't want to save that information out because now you want to save the actual ship. Or you want to integrate new features into the game. So now you have elements of the model where it's expecting elements to be in the view but aren't there when they do a save game. You do component upgrades. You buy an asset off the Unity asset store and suddenly that component is no longer compatible with what you represented on the view. And of course there's always the changes to Unity. And there's one other one that's not on this list, and that is if you saved a game in Unity, you can only use it in Unity. You wouldn't be able to use it in any other platform out there. That's a rare case, but that's also true. So what you really should be doing is saving just the model. And that's what the LNSKI object database does. It basically allows you to take the model and save that model away. And then once you load the model back into your game, then you reconstruct the view. Now, on the surface, that's a little bit more work, but it saves you from all the agony of how do you deal with changes to the model. Hopefully that gives you a good overview, and we'll see you in the next video.